On today's episode, we're going to take a look at some of the quarterback run game stuff the New England Patriots are using with Cam Newton. Really interesting kind of watching this Sunday, a team that's totally reinventing itself and going back to really old school football with a couple tweaks that I think, especially if teams are playing and your best athlete's your quarterback, and I know for us in summer football with the summer teams that I've been associated with in high school football, a lot of times your best athlete is playing quarterback, and you got to find ways to intelligently, find ways for the ball to end up in their hands, and maybe you have, a pretty solid offensive line, and a pretty solid running back, and your next best athlete plays quarterback. You got to find ways to not be predictable and put yourself in situations where teams don't have a chance to tee off on your quarterback, but you're also putting your quarterback in situations to run the ball maybe 8, 10, 12 times a game like the Patriots have been. So the interesting thing for me is, people talk about quarterback power, and watching the video of the Patriots, they're really running two types of quarterback power. One being power read, which is significantly different than just running straight quarterback power. So on power read, the back is going to come flat across the face of the quarterback and attack the perimeter of the defense right now. The quarterback is reading the place side end man on the line of scrimmage. So in this case, he's reading the rush end. And the quarterback is going to shuffle with the back until he gets to about the outside hip of the guard. All right. And then he is looking for, does this rush end contain, all right, and widen with the threat of that basically jet sweep or outside zone look from the back, or does he hang tight to the tackle? Now the tackle is going to down block and work through the first, just like he would on any sort of power scheme, gap scheme double. He's going to work back now to the second linebacker in the box. One of the reasons I love this play is your front side double team can really stay on that double for a long time because they're working to the backside backer. Because you're reading a man on the front side, you're able to. You can take care of these two down linemen. You could squeeze and expand the B gap if you want to protect the B against like that will run through. Okay, but you're able to protect the backside of this. You don't have to kind of scoop the nose and try and work somebody to the will like you would often have to on a power concept. Now you're able to pull this guard. He's going to hug tight and pull up and through for the Mike, who should play over the top with the puller. Now, if that end widens, the quarterback is going to be able to follow that puller and knife up the field. If that end stays on the hip of the down block, now this back, whose shoulders are facing the sideline and he's moving across the face of the quarterback as they mesh, all right, unless you have an unbelievable athlete here, they're going to have a hard time redirecting, and now your back is going to be clean out the gate. I've seen some teams run it. I think Clemson ran it last year in college as well, but they ran it with more of a pitch to the running back. So they would actually put the running back on the same side, and you could even drop him a little bit deeper, put him in the pistol. Okay, and they would have that back basically run like speed option, and then the quarterback could shuffle, and then make the decision to either pitch the ball to the back, or like the Patriots have been doing for the most part, be able to follow the guard. Now you could run this out of a number of formations. The Patriots have done a lot of the spread, especially with some too high safety looks. They've been able to get some pretty good looks off of it. The other concept the Patriots have been running is more of a true quarterback power. Now I'm just drawing it here out of a spread box. I'm going to draw up a couple of variations that they run more commonly, especially around the goal line out of heavier sets in a sec. But essentially the concept is fairly similar. You're going to have your power counter double, work back to the second backer in the box. You can block back, squeeze and expand, or just base block that quick. Your guard is now going to pull. Now this is where it gets different. Here the guard is going to pull and try and kick this defensive end. And the running back, it almost has like a lead draw feel to it. The running back is going to cross the quarterback's face and now be responsible for that mic over the top. Okay, and now there's no read. The quarterback's just keeping it. You could RPO it. But we've had a lot of success actually running this. One of the summer programs I've worked with, we were able to run this last summer and be pretty effective spreading teams out and then using that running back as a lead blocker. The Patriots actually have a fullback in there a lot, not really disguising it that Cam is the main runner in the set, but you could do it based on your personnel, depending on what you have. But that, I would say, is the second most common version for them is this kind of power switch, or some people call it counter F, where your pull through player in the counter is a back. Down in the red zone, really trying to get an extra body at the point of attack. You can really run this. The beauty of having your quarterback as a runner in this instance is now you're +1 in terms of the scheme, and the defense is one guy down in the run fit. So what you're seeing the Patriots do a lot is what almost becomes like quarterback sweep, where you got the fullback leading and a pulling guard, and Cam is just working off that one edge, and kind of getting the old school student body right look. You're able to condense down in the backside, try and cut off penetration, and all of a sudden you're moving gaps. You're getting a lot of bodies there at the point of attack, and what they're doing with their personnel with the double tight end makes it really hard if you're going to leave your DBs in the game and you're not going to substitute. If you have, what they might even be D linemen, it could be a short yardage package where you're bringing, linebackers in to play fullback, whatever. But if you have a dynamic athlete at the quarterback spot, you can create a lot of gaps with really that same scheme. So they're running it both that way. Even if you're facing a real goal line look here. Ultimately, their second version, which I liked a ton, I couldn't tell if they were faking it to this fullback on his way across. Okay, but basically, again, you're able to run the down blocks here and work back on these hard angles. Really create that wall we're all looking for on gap scheme plays, cut off backside penetration. And then your guard is going to pull through first, really looking to kick out whatever shows. Okay, and then that fullback becomes, again, the personal protector with his eyes inside. Okay, now the quarterback is able to follow that block. And the timing, I kind of like the timing it creates with the little fake to the fullback. And then the quarterback's following him to that same side. So you got power read. You got the kind of goal line, short yardage, pure QB power, although you could run it at a spread like we showed before. The last thing I want to show, and I thought this was, really creative and kind of taking the new school approach of trying to attack, whether it's numbers on a certain side of the field, or just make linebackers pay for being in conflict. A couple times, the Patriots got into trips into the boundary sets and would run that power read back to the field. So for us, say it'd be a 23 look. Okay, and they would protect it. Let's say they bring the Sam over here. So if the team adjusted the numbers correctly, so if they left, 2 DBs, 2-on-2 to the field, 3-on-3 to the boundary, the numbers were equal. Okay, then they would use the back, again, as the perimeter run threat out into this space to the field. They would read this defensive end, and they would run their front side power read. And then they would show on the backside, they would show bubble. And what that allows them to do is control this player, force the defense to put a third player over top of the trips. When they do that, you're going to read that front side player. It creates a numbers advantage for you on the front side. So, an easy adjustment for a team would be to say, hey, we're gonna leave the Sam linebacker to the field. Now we have an extra player, and we're gonna have, say, the free safety hang on this side. Maybe they end up, playing cut to the field, whatever it is. Leaving the Sam over there so that they have 2 players, one for the dive from the quarterback or the power from the quarterback, and one for the running back or the perimeter player. Now they're leaving you essentially 2-on-2 in the boundary, and you can just throw this bubble, and the free safety's got to come a long way down. I think it was N'Keal Harry had 3 or 4 catches on that, and it just forces them to play it honest. right? And you're attacking the perimeter that they do not, emphasize in terms of their numbers. So it's a scheme I like, and it's a scheme I think for high school coaches or anyone whose best athlete plays quarterback gives a chance to put the ball in your best player's hands. And it's not perfect every time. We saw him get stopped on the goal line last night, but honestly, I think it's one of those things where, as a defensive coach, I would much rather not see this stuff than have to saddle up each week and defend it. So I think it's a good system to take a look at, and something I think coaches can learn from.